Welcome everybody, I'm here right after the match of Portugal versus Croatia, an amazing win 2-1 in the latest part of the game, Gonçalo Ramos, amazing header between two central backs to finish the game. And I'm here to do the review. It was an amazing match in terms of vibes and football match, very disputed. Croatia really fought hard, they almost got the win there. Diogo Costa was the best player for Portugal. He made 6 saves, which is amazing. And what went wrong? Before we talk about that, leave a like and subscribe, and you can catch me live here on YouTube and on Twitch and Kick as well, at Tesosu Gaming. So, the first half was really good for Portugal, I think. Their press, high on the pitch, worked really well. The transition to defense when the ball was lost was really good as well. And those were the main problems for Portugal. The defensive transition and the press were not working at all in the previous games versus Congo, Uzbekistan, and versus Colombia. Especially versus Colombia, there was a lot of problems, but also versus Uzbekistan, Portugal was not defending well, but Uzbekistan couldn't score goals, and then Portugal won 5-0. With the ball, also Portugal looked better. Portugal was not going so wide, and then they didn't find spaces to play. There was more balls in behind the defense, which was also a problem that Portugal had because they were not even with the players right, not even with the right players for that type of play. But Rafael Leão started really well. But then what changed was that Croatia started to drop the right winger into a right back position, which made it very difficult on Rafael Leão because then he had two defenders specifically for him. But I think the first half was really good for Portugal. Croatia was struggling. They couldn't play very well. The press was really good for Portugal, like I mentioned. They couldn't have spaces, and Portugal in the first half was really good. The only problem was missing the shots or not creating enough chances to get shots on target. Because in the end of the match, Portugal only has 3 shots on target, and 2 of them were the goals and one was the penalty, right? So that was a bit of a problem. A lot of corners, not so great on the set pieces, which is something that I don't really understand because against Uzbekistan we had so many creative set pieces, but then against Colombia and here against Croatia we don't have no creative laboratory plays, which is a bit weird. I don't know what's happening. Maybe they hiding the plays for tougher matches. But in the end of the day, great win for Portugal. The result was very important, but in the second half, we had a lot of problems. First, Croatia comes in hot, pressing high, bringing players forward. Portugal was not ready for that at all. So many chances, 6 shots on target for Croatia in the end of the match. Diogo Costa, the GOAT, so many saves, bro, unbelievable. He needs to make a move out of Porto. He loves staying at Porto. I don't think Porto will accept anything under 80 million as a proposal for Diogo Costa, but bro, he's really good, and I think he'll be doing very well in a top club in Europe. But what was the problem for Portugal in the second half? Was Croatia just involving, bringing more players to the attack, and the transition defensively and the press of Portugal was not working, especially after Portugal conceded the first goal. But how, or the only goal in this case, but how was the goal conceded? Was a great play in behind the defense as well, easy play through the middle of Croatia, and the Portugal just couldn't keep up. And then after conceding the goal, Roberto Martinez he did what he needed to do: bring the team forward, bring another striker, refresh the wing, refresh the right back, for an example, because we were going to attack more, so we needed to defend more as well. And the thing is, it was a bit weird because right after the subs, there was the offside for Ronaldo, and then there was the penalty and the goal. So after Portugal scored the first goal, Croatia, because they conceded, they didn't need to control the match. They didn't need to sit down. So they continue going forward. And if with 3 midfielders, they were already causing problems. That's how they scored the first goal. With only 2 midfielders for Portugal, it was even easier for Croatia to find spaces. And that's where they made most of their chances. That's when Diogo Costa was really the hero because he held the goal until Roberto Martinez was able to make the subs. And he needed some people are criticizing, and in the stadium you could hear the people booing Ronaldo coming out, but it had to be. I'm just watching the goal here again, amazing for Gonçalo Ramos. But it had to be. Roberto Martinez had to take Ronaldo out and bring a third midfielder. Could be Ruben Neves, could be Samu Costa, could be Palhinha, that's not even here, but it had to be done. Because he couldn't take Gonçalo Ramos out, because he just came in, and then people were saying to take Rafael Leão, but you can't do that, because if you take Rafael Leão, you lose a winger, and then you have two strikers that can be fed with good crosses or just good combinations of play. So Ronaldo had to come out, and the moment Ruben Neves comes in, Portugal relaxed in the game. Not only Ruben Neves was holding the line in the middle, was making good passes going forward as well, and I think Croatia really lost their fire going forwards, because Portugal started defending better, and there was less problems. There were still some problems on the counters for Croatia. They still played kind of easily through the middle, but not so easy, and then the game went way more into the control of Portugal. And Portugal really needs to fix the press and their defensive transition against Spain, because otherwise it's going to be much difficult, much more difficult, because you have to think about the fact that Croatia, they're not that crazy good team going forwards, and they still created problems. They have a 37-year-old Perisic making great runs as well. So imagine a Yamal, imagine Oyarzabal, Alberto Baena, that are better and faster. So Portugal really needs to secure better the game against Spain. I think it's still good for Portugal that it's another European team that Portugal already beat in the Nations League final. And I think maybe starting with another defensive or more defensive midfielder, so no Bruno and no Bernardo, Vitinha, Neves, maybe Samu or Ruben Neves. It will be a bit weird, but the plan will be different. Well, Portugal will build more slowly, which they already do, even when it's not the best thing to do. And instead of needing Bruno or Bernardo or Trincão to create danger, so the whole team going up. I don't know if that's going to happen. I don't even know if that's the best way, but in my perspective right now, that's the way to then control the match better and not allow so many counters. Now, shout out to Croatia. They really surprised me. I watched and streamed their match versus England, where they lost 4-2, and they looked really good there. Then against Ghana, it was a bit more difficult, but the way they won against Ghana was what was scaring me, because their mentality, their wits going forward, that's exactly what Portugal was lacking. So Croatia had what Portugal didn't. And that's actually what actually made the game more difficult for Portugal here as well. Very good for them not going with 5 at the back at the start of the match. I expected them to start with 3 central defenders, with Gvardiol over there, which it didn't start. I don't know why. Maybe he has some problems, physically speaking. But they really surprised me, especially in the start of the second half. They looked so fresh, they looked so fiery. I think bringing Matanovic in and Budimir out allowed them to be more versatile and more agile going forwards, because Budimir is way more fixed. It's what we call in Portugal a pinheiro, a pine tree that stays there and fights in the air and fights with his back turned to the goal. And Portugal was kind of controlling that. Another good exhibition for the centre-backs of Portugal. Renato Veiga and Ruben Dias have been really improving. João Cancelo again, defensively not so good. Nuno Mendes back, really good. There was one chance where Nuno Mendes makes a great run into the box, and instead of taking the shot, he makes a pass to Ronaldo that was behind 3 defenders. So bad option there, but it was pretty good. Pedro Neto, he made 1 cross before he got subbed out, in the entire match before he got subbed out. That's a problem. I don't know why. He's like he was not allowed to make crosses. Only Cancelo was allowed to make crosses, which was a bit weird. That's something that Pedro Neto really needs to fix, or the mentality of Portugal needs to be fixed in that department, or the instructions of Roberto Martinez need to be fixed, and maybe start Trincão, maybe start Guedes or Conceição on that side, because it will bring different things. It will be better things for Portugal. And we have to talk about the guy. Gonçalo Ramos makes the goal. He really deserves more time. And it's not because Ronaldo sucks, because he doesn't. It's just different options, different characteristics. And Ronaldo almost got that offside goal that was barely offside. He scored a penalty. Penaldo. He can't dodge the allegations. He can't dodge the Penaldo allegations. And especially Portugal got bad once Vitinha came out and Bernardo Silva came in. And I said that on the stream. That would make Portugal too frail. And it did. Because you take a midfield that knows how to control the game with and without the ball to a player that doesn't really offer much control without the ball. So, but at that moment, that's what Portugal needed. GG's from Croatia, man, bro. What a match. What a match. Croatia played so well, bro. Hope you guys win it all. I hope it does well, but I'm just talking about that. We need to improve certain things. Especially defensively. Croatia played too easily through the middle, bro. Because then, Jones was the only guy defending in the middle. And Croatia had two, sometimes three more players on the midfield, and that can happen. I don't want to see Argentina or France again. I want to see France win, if not Portugal or Brazil or Cape Verde, because they're playing really well. They play through football, entertaining, going forward, no fear. But if you guys got excited about this match, can't wait until Cape Verde beats Argentina, bro. Cape Verde, vamos lá, Cabo Verde, caralho. Arrumem com os argentinos. Portugal then in the end got lucky. A lot of offsides. I mean, it's also merit of the defense, right? Of Portugal. Offside is not always lucky. It's good work from the defense. What a header from Gonçalo Ramos in the middle of two defenders. Unbelievable. And yeah, Portugal needs to fix also their counterattacks. The counterattacks of Portugal are third division level. Because they run forwards, they have so many options and they stop. They slow down. And when you are winning 2-0, you can do that. When you're winning 3-0, you can do that. When you are winning 1-0 in a very, very difficult match, you can do that. When you are losing or drawing 1-1 or it's 0-0, you can't do that. You have to go make the cross, make the shot, make the pass into the final third. Like Vitinha ended his performance with 3 vertical passes. You can do that. You need more. You need more passes going forward. You need more passes into dangerous areas. You know? You kind of hate modern football. Bro, this World Cup is not modern football. I made some tweets about it and people responded positively. Because this World Cup has been going forwards. That's why the European teams are being punished. Because they're being too normal. They're being too modern. And then South African, and South American, African teams, and even Asian teams. Shout out to Japan and South Korea. I'm so sad South Korea got eliminated that early. But they are punishing the European teams because the European teams are playing modern football. But that doesn't matter. Look at Germany versus Paraguay. What matters is goals. What matters is scaring the opposing team with crosses, with shots, with dribbles, with harsh tackles. I made a tweet about that. Or I said in my video, I will do a video about that. The European teams and the clubs and the national teams, they forgot what football is. Football is goals. Football is aura. Football is attitude. And they rely too much in control. They rely too much in XG, passes. Like Vitinha ends the game with 100% pass completion, but they are irrelevant. Today better than other, you know? Bosnia, my neighbors, I really thought they were going to go far. What the fuck is with the US players? They're playing really well. Bro, Bosnia, like Czechia, like some other European teams, they go in with too much fear. Like, you have to respect the opponent, but you can be fearful. You know, I remember Bosnia versus Canada, or Bosnia versus Qatar, or Bosnia versus Switzerland. Bosnia has arguments, but they're just too scared. You know, they're like, oh no, we are the small team here. We have to defend with everything we got. No, bro, you gotta play ball. This is a game. You have to play the game. You can't win the game if you don't play. You know, Germany is also a big upset for me. Yeah, they're really good though. They're really good. But Paraguay hates football because even though Paraguay was defending so much, they're still aggressive. They're still going for the counter. They still have two great players here in Siso and Almiron. They fought until the end, and Portugal can learn from them. Portugal can learn from Paraguay and the South American teams. Fight harder. Focus on what matters, the goal. Because if you make the dribbles, if you make the crosses, if you make the runs behind the defensive line, if you take the shots outside of the box, the other team will start to respect you. The other team will start to be afraid. And that's what the European teams don't do. They make the game too comfortable for the enemy player. And this match was between two European teams, and it will also be against Spain for Portugal, another European team, which is less punishing, But against an African side, or even the USA, or a South American side, this is easily punishable, you know? And I think a good European team that's not playing like that, it's Norway. They're fighting with spirit, they're going forwards, they bring the wingers, they have Haaland, they have Sorloth, you know? And it's good. Uruguay, nothing to say. There was a lot of problems for Uruguay. And also, Portugal can learn from Cape Verde. They did the match versus not Saudi versus Uruguay, right? And they were playing so well. Body feints, turn around, attack the defense, go wide, go through the middle, really, really good. And Portugal with the ball much better. In the first half, without the ball, much better, but still needs to create more chances, needs to be more loose, solta-te, liberta-te, and Portugal needs to make more crosses, more shots, more dribbles. Portugal needs to play ball. Portugal needs to play more the match. They need to play more football and less control modern Pep ball. Honestly, I'm scared to think what will happen with our football once Modric leaves. Hey, Croatia, I think you guys have something else. I think you guys have a good generation that needs to be discovered. You know what I'm saying? And at the end of the day, great result for Portugal, but they really need to improve their defense. They really need to improve the defensive transition and the counter-attacks as well. And shout out to Croatia. They played really well. They made the game interesting in the second half. That goal opening the second half scared the shit of all the Portuguese people. You better believe it. But also, to finish the video, very important to realize the response of Portugal. The response. Portugal concedes. They immediately get the goal for Ronaldo, which was an offside. Then they kept piling up the pressure, and they drove the game to where they wanted. And Gonçalo Ramos, great 10. That's Portuguese genes right there. You catch 5 minutes of sun, you Moreno, you bronze, like we say here in Portugal. I'm like that as well. I catch 5 minutes of sun, I go full Portuguese mode. You know what I'm saying? Livakovic was MVP, Diogo Costa as well. The keepers did really well today, for sure. And it was amazing, guys. Great match. Some people were saying the match was boring. Bro, okay, first half, maybe. But second half was insane. The game goes 15 minutes after the 90th minute. What a cross from Leão. What a header for Ramos. Last World Cup, he was insane also. That's true. I don't think Livakovic does well in his club, but for the national team, he always shows up. He's very underrated. I agree. And Portugal played very well with the ball, but defensively, especially against Spain, we need to fix things. I'm really proud of this result. We fought hard, mentally and emotionally. We were there. Not before we conceded, and not after we scored the first goal. The team was a bit panicked, but also because we had two midfielders and Croatia and more. But at the end of the day, it's a win. Next comes Spain. Nuestros hermanos, estamos esperando. Portugal, sí, vamos caralho. Thank you for watching. Leave a like and subscribe, and comment down below.